elected Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, as he did his, well, I would say his second press conference. This is quite surprising as he had a bit of a banter back and forth with a reporter, and that reporter is David Akin. He is the chief political correspondent of Global News, and the way David Akin interrupts Pierre Poilievre's announcement at his press conference, it's quite shocking to see such a highly experienced journalist attack a leader in the manner that he does, interrupting him multiple times. And so yesterday when we covered this story, you know, you could see from the conversation of the video clip goes from where Pierre Poilievre does his announcement as a newly elected Conservative leader. But now we have the footage of what happens prior to him starting his speech, and you can see the interruptions and what, you know, is said back and forth, which is now trending as a certain issue that I'll discuss in a bit. But take a look at what happens prior to the press conference when it's about to start, and the back and forth between David Akin. He's the chief he's the chief political correspondent for Global News, and this is with Pierre Poilievre, the newly elected Conservative leader. Take a look.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate your presence here today. Before I begin, let me just say that. Thank you very much. I'm being heckled here by. Thank you very much for your congratulations. Thank you very much for your questions. I'm going to begin my remarks now.
But will you take some questions afterwards?
Justin Trudeau is out of touch, and Canadians are out of money. The cost of government is driving up the cost of living. $500 billion of inflationary deficits have bid up the cost of the goods we buy and the interest that Canadians pay. The cost for workers and businesses to produce the goods that we buy. On top of that, Trudeau proposes yet more spending to bid up costs even further. The more he spends, the more things cost. It is just inflation. Their homes and to buy a home in the very first place. The reason that look, yeah. So I mean, we have basically a liberal heckler who snuck in here today to. Well, apparently,
Global News. I'm the chief political correspondent for that organization.
Are you going to let me make my statement?
You may remember me from the guy who actually reported first on the Prime Minister breaking the law.
Yeah. Are you going to let me make my statement?
We just like to ask a question. Say yes.
I've actually never seen you heckling the Prime Minister.
Ask Minister Baird back in the day.
The Prime Minister. Look, bottom line is this.
Are you going to take some questions at the end of this statement?
Yes, I'll be taking 2 questions at the very end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to start my statement again.
There you have it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Join us in the conversation at Y Media on YouTube or Facebook. Have you ever seen a journalist attack what Pierre Poilievre is saying, the Prime Minister or any other federal leader in that manner, and not allowing him to even start the press conference and you know, to have the coverage that's sort of, and this is David Akin, who's got a ton of experience covering, you know, the G7, the G20 summit. He's traveled the world, a ton of experience as the chief political correspondent for Global News. It'd be very interesting to hear what Global News has to say about it. David Akin has since apologized for that, what you just saw, but it would be very interesting to see if Global News is going to take any steps when it comes to their journalist on the ground who is wearing a Global News logo on his shirt and representing Global News at the end of the day. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, because if that happened with perhaps a leader of another party, what would be the reaction overall from the news agency as well as the general media? Now, after that incident, the Conservative Party sent out an email talking about a fundraising email about how they need to have more access to Canadians and to highlight what actually took place, and also suggesting that perhaps maybe there's not a fair coverage when it comes to mainstream media. To that, well, there's been response from mainstream media who is, you know, making it appear as if they do a fair coverage of the official opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, and that that fundraising email is not something that, you know, represents the full perspective. Now, that's what mainstream media is saying. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party leader is now showing what took place and has reached out to the 678,000 members, which is a staggering number of memberships, historic for any political party to do that sort of a membership drive, and that's paid membership. The Liberal Party and the Federal Liberal Party, the memberships are for free. Conservative memberships are $15 annually, so it's a big list, 678,000, and that's the rounded number that I'm giving you.